Hi, everybody. I'm Angel, and I am here today to talk to you about thyroid secrets, things you can do to help nutrition and lifestyle, like strategies you can do to help the thyroid. And I wanted you to see my face really quick before I start sharing my screen here. So let me get that going. So let me share the screen. All right, there we go. So, as we know, Thyroid Secrets. I'm not a medical doctor nor a psychiatrist, and the views of this workshop are my own. Please don't make any changes with medications or supplements without speaking to your healthcare provider. And please note, too, that these statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. So, who am I? Well, I'm Angel Hill. I have more than a dozen years of experience in alternative health. I've served 7,000 people in my clinic that I currently have. And you can check out all my degrees and certifications and everything out that on LinkedIn. I love to go to school. So, that's definitely something you'll find. Now, currently, though, I have moved to the online space and I have a program called Alternative Health with Angel. So, where is the thyroid? The thyroid is right here in your neck. So, a lot of people will feel like swallowing issues, things like that when things are going on with their thyroid. But what does the thyroid actually do? Well, it's that butterfly shaped hormonal gland. It's responsible for the speed of metabolic chemical processes, produces hormones. This is all kinds of stuff you really care about, but not really. This next screen is really what you want to know. What's it responsible for? Weight management. That is the number one thing that women come in and talk to me about is weight management and their thyroid. But it also affects the heart rate, body temperature, fertility, muscle development, brain development, cell maintenance, digestion, the menstrual cycle. A lot of fertility issues will actually come with thyroid, and even blood sugar. So there's a lot there. And the problem is that there's so much subclinical thyroid dysfunction going on. And what I mean by subclinical thyroid dysfunction is this is not being caught by the doctors. And we'll talk a minute about what the doctors look for, but these are people who are walking around with their thyroid not working optimally. And 60% of people don't even know they have thyroid issues. And approximately 90% of thyroid cases are estimated to be autoimmune Hashimoto's. And people don't know that either. So there's a lot of undiagnosed thyroid dysfunction going on. And that can cause you to be cold all the time, fatigue, a lot of hair thinning, weight gain or weight loss. That's one of the biggest things I hear from my clients. Dry skin, constipation, depression, lack of motivation, brain fog, and so many other symptoms can come with this. So, what are your risk factors? Well, the older we are, the higher our risk is, no matter what gender that's the case. But women definitely get it more than men. Usually, if there's somebody in the family that has it, it's definitely something that we'll see along the way, particularly women to women. Pregnancy, menopause, anytime there's a major hormonal change going on with women is a big time when we'll see thyroid issues as well. So there are 7 different components of the thyroid that your doctor should check. Unfortunately, they typically only check 1 or 2. So we're just going to real quickly go through these. There's free T3. That's the active thyroid hormone, and it's manufactured mainly in the liver. So that is something that sometimes the doctors are checked, sometimes they don't. Then we have free T4. That shows what's actually available to the cells and tissues. So this is a really important marker because if we can't find out what's actually getting to the cells and tissues, that's not going to help us at all. And then the total T4, how much is being produced by the thyroid? The reverse T3 keeps the body from metabolizing too much thyroid because we don't want a lot in there either. And then TSH is actually something that you have probably heard of. This is the number one thing that doctors usually check when they're looking at thyroid. And it measures the TSH, which is manufactured by the pituitary gland. And that kind of evaluates the overall thyroid function. And so that's why they'll normally just check that one. Unfortunately, when you only check that one, you're not getting a full, complete picture. Now, these last 2 markers that you'd want to get checked as well are for antibodies. So remember the statistic earlier about all the people who have thyroid issues and it's actually autoimmune and they don't even realize it? Well, these 2 factors here are why you would want to do that. So we got the TPO, which is an antibody for the thyroid, and then also the ATA. So both of these are something you would really want to look at and determine if you also had autoimmune along with the thyroid issue. Now, things that are different with this, when you go to a conventional doctor, what they're doing when they're looking at your thyroid is they're looking at disease. So a lot of people tell me, I went to the doctor, I thought my thyroid was messed up. They said nothing's wrong. Well, that's because they're looking for disease. They're not looking for optimal health. So when you come to a functional person like me, we're looking for optimal health. We don't want to just manage your disease, but we want to prevent or reverse it. And when it comes to thyroid, if you're not on thyroid medication, a lot of times that can be reversed. Now, everyone is treated the same when it comes to conventional, but in functional, we look at personalized plans, what you need. So you may come to me and your thyroid is all out of whack, but your gut's great. But the next person, their gut is really messed up. So we have to look at all the reasons this could be happening. And we're looking at the root cause. We're not looking at just one thing. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you're looking at it, most insurance doesn't cover functional tests. So you have to kind of, decide to there too how you're going to work things. But anyway, so then we get this term subclinical hypothyroidism. So your thyroid's not working to the best of its ability, but it's not enough that you need to be on medication from the doctor. And what I like to do is work on my framework of the hormone heaven framework that I've established. And basically, we start with minerals are the foundation. So minerals are the spark plug of our hormones. If we don't have our minerals balanced, really nothing else can work. So I like to get those minerals balanced. I used a test called HTMA that measures it in your hair to see where your minerals are. And then next we go to cortisol. That you may have heard of because the adrenal glands, the adrenal and thyroid, by the way, work intimately together. So we want to get the minerals balanced. We want to get that cortisol balanced. And then when we're looking at insulin, we're looking at blood sugar, and blood sugar definitely needs to be balanced as well. So minerals, cortisol, and insulin have to be balanced before we can ever work on the thyroid. So that's something that we're going to talk today about, how we can get these basic things balanced so that we can work up to that thyroid and get it really working the way you need it to. So when we talk about minerals for thyroid, calcium and potassium are the one that really pop up when we're thinking about it. They regulate our thyroid activity, and sodium and potassium are needed by the cells to move thyroid hormones around. So one of the best things you can do for your thyroid is to do an electrolyte every morning. I know that seems really simple, but when you can get those 4 foundational minerals in the morning, it helps you balance everything for the day. So in electrolytes, normally what you'll see is calcium, potassium, sodium, and magnesium. And those are the 4 main minerals. And if we can get those balanced, it helps all our other minerals stay balanced too. And by doing that first thing in the morning, it's going to help all of those things we talked about earlier, the cortisol, the insulin, the thyroid, the sex hormones, help those be balanced as well. Now, when you're looking for an electrolyte, you're going to look for one that has no sugar or no artificial flavors or colors, actually. So if you have any problems with that, you can always get a hold of me, and I have a list of ones that are really commonly available that are also good for those sorts of things. Now, next we talked about cortisol. Remember, cortisol is related to the adrenal glands, and cortisol increases in cortisol levels as a result of stress. Because when we have stress, our cortisol goes up the roof. So those increases in cortisol have been shown to affect thyroid hormone levels. And as I showed you before on that ladder, definitely do. Cortisol has to be balanced before thyroid can. And there appears to be a positive correlation between that TSH we talked about earlier, which kind of tells us the whole amount, what's going on with the whole of the thyroid, and the cortisol. And so one of the best things you can do for cortisol is to drink 8 ounces of the water in the morning when you get up. As soon as you get up, drink 8 ounces of water. I want you to throw in a half a lemon and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And what this is going to do is going to help reduce cortisol and adrenaline. It also helps prevent dehydration. And with the salt, it helps you get a little bit of minerals too. So what this is doing is this is telling your body first thing in the morning, I am ready to get moving. Our adrenals need more sodium than any other organ in our body. So if we can get that sodium in first thing, our adrenals can produce that cortisol in the morning to help us get going for the day. Our cortisol is supposed to be high in the morning and low at night. So this helps to remind the body, let's get that cortisol going in the morning. And that's going to be really important for the thyroid as well. Now, some other things we need to think about, since stress raises cortisol, we have to think of things we can do to help lower that stress. So things like meditation, prayer, yoga, moderate exercise. This is something where people get a little confused by, because they'll say, they just really want to exercise really, really hard. And I'm not saying don't exercise, but we want to do things that are calming to the body to make our body feel safe. And sometimes when we're running marathons, our body does not feel like that's safe. So that is an area that you definitely can work with your healthcare practitioner and find out what exactly moderate exercise is going to work for you. Now, an area that I have to work on is realistic goal setting to reduce that overwhelm. That's me. A lot of times I put too much on my plate and then I get all stressed out. So I have to work on that as well. So all of these things are helpful. And just know that there are people out there that can help you with this as well. You are not alone. Now, balancing your blood sugar. I'm one of those people that if I could wave a magic wand, I would declare that everyone had protein for the first meal of the day. When you eat protein for your first meal, it's balancing your blood sugars for the day. Now, even if, say, you have protein in the morning for breakfast, and even at night you have like dessert, it's going to still bump your blood sugar up, but not nearly as much if you hadn't had that protein in the morning. That protein really helps us balance for the day. And you want to get between about 15 to 30 grams of protein when we're talking in the morning. The other thing you want to do to balance your blood sugar, and remember this is really important for the thyroid, is to avoid these liquid sugars like sweet tea, soda, ice cream, sports drinks, pre-workouts, things like that. Liquid sugars immediately affect our blood sugar, and there is nothing good that comes from liquid sugars. So I want you to keep that in the back of your head. That is always the area I encourage my clients to start with first. If, say, you drink sweet tea, let's start with an example. Say you drink sweet tea, let's make it half sweet the next time, right? So you're going to wean yourself off the sugar. Research shows if we can go 3 days without sugar, we actually lose the physical cravings for the sugar. Now, the psychological cravings may still be there, but keep that in mind. If you can just white knuckle it for 3 days to get through that sugar, we can really get you through to the other side and balance that blood sugar. Now, this is what happens when we don't balance that blood sugar. We get on this blood sugar roller coaster. And if you can see some of these things that happen, we get hangry. And, so we eat and then our blood sugar drops up and it goes back down again. So we have these constant crashes and they'll cause mood swings, sugar cravings, energy crashes, depression in a lot of people. So it's real important to get that protein first thing for our first meal of the day. Some hacks you can do to help your blood sugar. And I love these hacks. And if you know Glucose Goddess, she is on social media. She is where I got these hacks. I love her. She's got some great ideas. So feel free to follow her to help you out with these. But taking vinegar before a meal, you can do it like in a drink or on top of food. I actually like to put apple cider vinegar on top of my eggs. This is the thing, though. The only vinegar she doesn't recommend is balsamic because it has too much sugar. And I will tell you, I don't recommend white vinegar. White vinegar is used really good for cleaning things, but it's not something we should put in our body. So when you're thinking about vinegars, think about like apple cider vinegars. Kombucha even can be a vinegar. You also want to eat your veggies first because that helps your body with the blood sugar, if you can get that fiber, those fibrous veggies in first. So have them like as an appetizer with hummus. My husband and I a lot of times have like celery, carrots, and cucumbers with a homemade hummus that we made. Walk 10 minutes after your meal. So if you eat a meal, even if it doesn't have sugar, but especially if it has sugar, just go walk around your block for 10 minutes. That helps bring the blood sugar down. So this is what we want to do. You want to have that water with a salt and lemon first thing in the morning. And then you want to do your electrolytes because you want to get those 4 basic foundation minerals in the morning. And then you want to do your food. And then you want to do coffee because caffeine actually spikes our glucose levels if it's consumed without food. Okay. So water, electrolytes, food, then your coffee. I'm not saying don't do coffee. I'm just saying wait so that we don't kick up your blood sugar early in the morning. So one last note on blood sugar. A study that was released in April 2023 says that significant harmful associations between sugar consumption and 18 endocrine, 10 cardiovascular, and 7 outcomes. So a lot of bad things are going on with sugar consumption. And then best-selling author Isabella Wentz, she wrote the Hashimoto Protocol and Adrenal Transformation Protocol. She did a survey of her clients and asked them to rate all these interventions that they gave her for adrenals and for thyroid and everything. And she said what was most helpful. And the top 2 were blood sugar balancing and hydration. So again, get that water in the morning and get that blood sugar balanced with some good protein in the morning. Now, so there are a lot of different food plans out there. I try not to call them diets because this is not about losing weight. This is about eating right so that you can be healthy, live your fullest life. So some people like the AIP, the autoimmune protocol. It's anti-inflammatory. I actually go on Pinterest sometimes and look in AIP recipes and pull some up. Then we have paleo or Whole30. That's kind of more like what would Adam and Eve eat? Maybe lean meats, fish, fruits, then when they're in season, vegetables, nuts, seeds, things like that. And then we have the pegan. That's Dr. Mark Hyman. He basically has taken the paleo diet with a vegan diet and kind of put them together. It's plant focused, but he still includes a little bit of meat and seafood. The meat and seafood in his program are actually just a smaller amount of meat than would be in the paleo. But I really want you to think about something when we're talking about the paleo or the Whole30. Those are really my favorite food plans. And I want to talk real quickly about fruit. When we think about fruit, fruit is a great natural sugar. So I am not saying to not eat fruit. What I am saying is I want you to eat fruit in the whole fruit. So if you're eating an apple, eat the whole apple. I don't want you to take that apple and put it into a smoothie, because as soon as you put that fruit into a smoothie, it becomes a liquid sugar. And then we have problems with that blood sugar bouncing up and down. So just keep fruit in mind. It's great to eat it when it's a whole fruit and it's in season. So think about it. Our ancestors were not eating fruits in the pounds that we eat it now. That you're eating it when they could get a hold of it. So just keep that in mind. But lean meats, fish, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, that's a good way to go. The less you can eat in a box, the better. Some food and cooking tips for you. You may want to cook your cruciferous vegetables. That actually helps our body absorb them better. And they have wonderful things in them. And I can't pronounce actually the long name of this, but there's something called DIM, D-I-M, that's in our green cruciferous vegetables. That's wonderful for just helping clean out our liver, really get rid of the bad stuff in our body. Another really good habit to get into is drinking bone broth. I love bone broth. It's amazing for your gut. If you ever feel bad, it's just a really good thing to put in there, and it's a great source of protein too. Earlier, I mentioned get rid of your box food. This right here, True Food Tech, go there. It's a great website that will show you if your food is processed or not. And they really use real life examples from the grocery store. And it's be prepared, because you're going to think there's some of the things that you eat are not that processed, and they are. So just take a look at that. Now, things you want to eat. You really want to eat healthy fats. Olive oil, avocados, those good healthy fats are great for our brain, and they're also going to keep us satiated, so they're not going to be as hungry. We want to look at fermented foods because they're so good for us. Kombucha, kimchi, sauerkraut. Just make sure you get ones that are really good. Now, you want to keep your caffeine consumption to 16 ounces or less per day. That's going to help as well. And remember, I'm not saying not to drink coffee, just to keep it low. And remember, coffee always with food. You don't want to do coffee on an empty stomach because that raises the blood sugar levels. You also want to make sure to keep your sugar levels down. So let's try to keep it less than 30 grams a day. If you start really looking at sugar grams in your food, you're going to be shocked at how many grams of sugar you get. So try to keep it to 30 grams or less. Now, the last thing on here is to limit gluten and dairy. I don't think that that is necessary for everyone, but if you're having thyroid issues and you've tried everything else, that may be a way to go. Try to limit the gluten first. Gluten is actually really shown to cause a lot of thyroid issues, particularly with Hashimoto's. So I would definitely try that first. Depending on what kind of symptoms you are, I possibly would recommend limiting dairy. Keep in mind we're the only animal that drinks another animal's milk, so we're probably not supposed to have dairy. But limiting gluten and dairy are kind of the last things on my list. I see how you do with everything else, and then we kind of look at limiting your foods from there. I would rather you add healthy foods to your diet than worry about limiting some things, however. Something else we need to do for our thyroid is work on the circadian rhythm. And the circadian rhythm is more than just sleep. It's things we do before we sleep. It's things we do during the day. One of the things we need to do, though, is have consistent bedtimes. That helps our body think it's safe. If we're going to the bed every time the same night, it says, okay, we're safe. Everything is good. Something else you want to do is go outside during the day. Our eyes literally have little receptors in them that download where we're at in the day. So it knows what time it is and where we should be going to sleep, stay awake, things like that. So you want to go outside and check the sun at dawn and then possibly midday. If you can't go outside, you can certainly look out a window. That is helpful as well. And then right as the sun is going out at night at dusk, you want to look outside again or go outside if you can. Give us that download so our body knows what it's doing. We also want to turn off our lights and electronic devices 30 minutes before bed. I think everybody knows this. This is probably the hardest thing for me when it comes to circadian rhythm for the thyroid. It's really, I'm always wanting to be on my phone or something. Another thing that people don't really think about, but make sure your room is clean and doesn't have any distractions. You know, there's the whole philosophy of feng shui, you know, things need to be set up a certain way. You don't necessarily need to do that, but our brain really does recognize when things are messed up in our room. It gives us a messed up mind, right? It's not emotionally stable. And we have to have sleep, by the way. You people out there who think you don't need sleep, that is not true. Your thyroid needs sleep to renew itself. And not only the thyroid, our whole body needs sleep to renew itself. Now, there are a lot of environmental toxins out there that are really causing havoc with our thyroid. And they're in things like water bottles, baby bottles, household chemicals, our toothpaste, our plastics, children's toys, perfume. And I did want to mention that. We're going to talk about that again right here. So synthetic fragrances, you can see right there that I've highlighted that. That is one of the biggest problems we have that is causing issues with us, that and plastics. So I read this recently from the Environmental Working Group that I have them at the bottom of this page here, ewg.org. I'd check them out. They have a great app that you can take with you to Target, Walmart, anywhere like that to help you pick better personal hygiene and cosmetics, things like that. Highly recommend doing that. One of the biggest things they say to do, though, is to get any items you get them without any fragrance. Synthetic fragrance is really going to be the death of us. And it's particularly tough on our hormones. And our thyroid is producing hormones. So just keep that in mind. So say, for instance, you're in the grocery store and money's a little tight this week, and you're trying to decide which clothes detergent to get. And you're looking at the one that says, oh, it's environmental and all that, but it's way too expensive. Well, what you need to do, if the environmental one is too expensive, then go with the one that is not environmental, but doesn't have any fragrance in it. Okay. That would be the kind of choices you make. Number one, you want to look for no fragrances when you're doing things, because that can really cause some issues. You also just want to try not to use these single-use items. The plastics are really bad in getting into our environment too. So just think about that. Now, when we talk about fragrance, essential oils are fine as long as you get good, clean essential oils. Things like doTERRA, Young Living, Eden's Garden, all of those are really good essential oils. And this is actually, these right here, lemongrass, myrrh, clove, rose geranium, frankincense, and peppermint have actually been shown to be good for your thyroid. The next slide, I'm going to show you a little recipe for it. So you may want to take a picture. But at the bottom here where it says PMID, that's actually a PubMed article that showed that these essential oils were really good for the thyroid. So there's research that's been done on these. So this is the recipe here. I'll let you take a picture of that for just a second if you want to. And you're just going to apply this to the bottom of the feet. Great little recipe. However, if you are on medication for thyroid, you need to speak to your doctor before you do this blend, okay? Otherwise, it should not be a problem. If you start working with a healthcare practitioner like me, though, do let them know that you're doing this essential oil thyroid blend, because sometimes it can mess with other things. So you just want to always be careful. Think about supplements and essential oils, alternative measures, just like prescriptions, is that sometimes things can mess with each other. So you want to be really careful. But if you are someone who's in essential oils, or if you just want to use a perfume, you could use one of these as a perfume instead of some of those other really terrible synthetic fragrances that we have. Now, some people say, just give me the quick actions. What can I do? Number one, be gentle with yourself. It's tough out there, people. Everybody else is being hard on you. You don't need to be hard on you. We're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes every day with my health. You just got to keep going. Some other things, regular meal times, that tells our body again that it's safe, that it doesn't have to worry about getting food, regular sleep times. I like 5-minute gratitude journals. Oprah talked about this years ago. Even if you don't want to write it down, just thinking when you wake up in the morning and when you go to bed at night, what are you grateful for? That really helps us think on other things besides how bad we're feeling. Something I did not mention in the previous slides, but I want to mention here, is lymphatic drainage. I can give you more information about that. That is definitely something I'm interested in. You can go and look up lymph brushing is really great. Walking at least 15 minutes a day, and throw a water filter on that shower. Okay. We were talking about all those toxins earlier, really come through us through the shower. So that's something really quick you can do as well. So what if I'm not feeling better? A lot of people come to me and they say, I've kind of done all these things you told me to do, and I'm still not feeling better. Well, sometimes you may need extra help. When our faucet is broken, we call a plumber, right? I've spent more than a dozen years working with 6,500, 7,000 clients, I think, at this point, to get to the root cause of their disease. And I can help you too. So sometimes what I'm saying is you need to ask for help. You can do all the things, but you go to someone who has the knowledge. And I've been doing this for so long, I really could help you. So I hope if you're someone who really needs this help, you can come and find me and get that help. And how can I help you? Well, I help elevate your nutrition. We identify your mineral and hormonal deficiencies, and we look at it from a whole body approach. So as you noticed earlier on that ladder, we discussed how we have to fix the minerals, the cortisol, and the insulin before we can ever get to the thyroid. So that's what I mean by a whole body approach. If you went to a conventional doctor, they would hand you the medicine for the thyroid and say, good day, see you later. Where I'm saying, let's get to the root cause, fix it, and then you're going to have health for a long time and healthy habits as well. So my alternative health memberships is how I help people. It includes private one-to-one coaching. Hair tissue mineral analysis is included in it also. That's a great way to find out where your minerals are and heavy metals that can be causing some issues for you. That Hormone Heaven framework that you saw, I actually personalize it for you. I'm available by text during all business hours, and you get discounted supplements and functional testing. And all this starts for less than $7 a day. And I do have monthly payments and financing available. So if that is something you're interested in, you can get a hold of me on social media, or you can email me. So here, my website is alternativehealthwithangel.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Alt Health Angel, or LinkedIn at Angel Hill DNM. So feel free to contact me in any way, and we can talk about what is the best way to support your thyroid. These statements, again, have not been evaluated by the FDA, but I hope they're helpful. If I can leave with you anything, please wake up and drink some water in the morning and make sure to get that protein to truly try to help that thyroid get better. Thanks a lot.